I'm originally from Germany.
I'm from Canada.
Originally from Texas.
I'm from the US. I actually didn't feel like the US, even though I grew up in the US, was the place for me.
Cái gì đây? cái gì cũng chỉ. Ủa, bên Mỹ có trứng mà, đúng không? Bên Mỹ có trứng. So they just make it to extreme and that caused the bad image.
Exactly. And I think that again it can happen anywhere. It doesn't have to be, you just have a group of people and then somehow we overgeneralize, and then that's where I think misunderstanding came about. But people forget that there's so many different types of Viet Kieu.
Other than Swiss Viet Kieux, I don't really know of other Viet Kieux until I came to Saigon, that I was exposed to, like Americans and French and British.
We're born in another country, and then we Viet Kieu. Or would my parents be considered a Viet Kieu? Or is it just all Viet Kieu?
Em tưởng là có cái người Việt gốc.
Là Viet Kieu hết.
Giống như là nếu mà if you're born in America, sometimes they say người Việt gốc Mỹ. I heard.
Vietnamese American.
Yeah, and some people say that's the correct term to say because Viet Kieu sometimes have like a negative connotation.
My name is Nhi. I was born and I grew up in Switzerland and moved to Vietnam 2.5 years ago.
Hello again, it's Cassidy, aka Fale. I'm from the US and I've lived in Vietnam for almost 3 years.
My name is Lee. Hello everyone. I was born and raised here in Saigon, Vietnam. I left for Australia when I was 14.
We kind of just overgeneralize Viet Kieu, and I think that there's like a lot of information that's not, it's missing, right? So I moved to Vietnam for a totally different reason from other people, right? Other people moved here for work, for traveling. For me, it was kind of, I guess in a way, just looking for a place to settle down.
I want to go back and reconnect to my roots after being away for so long.
I was just curious to see how it would be to work here and have experience here, because I thought it was kind of important to me personally to know how it is to live in Vietnam.
You have bigger Vietnamese community, so maybe you kind of feel like more in a Vietnamese community growing up. Whereas in Europe, you have Vietnamese here and there.
Scattered.
So, yeah, scattered. We don't have like a big community, like a Vietnamese district, a Vietnamese town or whatever. So I think we are less, but also European countries are very small.
Right.
So it's like, it's very rare to gather all in one place.
Right.
I grew up in a small village. I was the only Asian always.
German people, they ask Vietnamese people to come over to kind of support. Yes. So that was when my mom came to Germany. My dad was a refugee, both people. So and they eventually met in Germany and moved to Switzerland, which is a neighbor country.
Yeah.
Americans are very open-minded and very outgoing, and Europeans are more I would not say introverts, but more calm personalities.
Yeah. I just feel like because there's a larger group of Viet Kieu me, right? And that's due to the war. I guess that was how it opened up for that wave of immigrants. So my dad he was a lieutenant in the war, fighting alongside the U.S. So one of the things that people forget to consider is that for people like him, back then, living here was not an ideal situation. If you really think about it, nobody wants to leave, their father, their brothers and sisters, but my parents did. And they both had really big families, and they both had to move to the US and start all over again. So it was very, very difficult for them. They worked super hard, and they were, I want to say they were almost like the first wave of Vietnamese in the US where, they had to start everything from scratch. Nothing was really laid out yet, the first nail salon business owners and everything. And so I understand that it's difficult for them. And to be honest, haven't been close with my dad for the past 2 years because of my decision to move here.
I feel like it's much deeper for you guys, you know.
Yeah. It's harder. It's like a scar for them, right?
Now, in my case, I moved when I was 14. So, and then with
Still young.
Yeah, I was still young, and like my Vietnamese now is like a 14 years old. You know, I don't speak like, you know, like an adult. I don't speak like with a corporate language. Like I never work here, so I don't have like the office kind of tone. And I guess with my family, like we grew up like I left when I was 18. So I don't really maintain like, you know, the Vietnamese conversation unless I go to a Vietnamese restaurant or like I speak on the phone with my family. That's it. And even at home, like we're restricted from speaking Vietnamese because my stepdad's Australian. He didn't like, you know, us speaking Vietnamese too much. You know, obviously massive culture shock. You know, like moving to like a foreign land for the first time, and you know, like the city that we moved to, it was like super like. White. There was not a big Asian population at all. We were like pretty much like the only Vietnamese family. I feel like alive again. Really? You know, like after so many years, like you would understand, like, you know, I've been in Australia for like 13 years now, and I always in the back of my mind, I always want to go back, like try living here as an adult. But
do you feel like more like this is home?
I think so. Now that I'm here, I feel like that. Yeah, I don't know about you, Kim, but yeah, I do. Like Australia, obviously, is home for me in a sense, but also like Vietnam is just so nostalgic. I can like go on the street, I can go past my old school, go past all these places I was at when I was young. Yeah, it's very nostalgic for me.
Kim thực ra là Kim bị sốc văn hóa khi mà Kim đi qua Mỹ.
Tất nhiên, yeah.
Nhưng mà xong rồi cái Kim luôn có một cái dream to go back to Vietnam. Luôn muốn trở về Việt Nam, nhưng mà khi quay trở về Việt Nam lần này á, thì I got another culture shock.
Cái đó rất là bình thường.
Yeah. So Kim lại bị culture shock một lần nữa, bởi vì Việt Nam không còn là Việt Nam như mình nghĩ trước. So nó có rất là nhiều thứ thay đổi, văn hóa đã thay đổi, con người đã thay đổi, cái thế hệ trẻ nó đã thay đổi, nó đi ra nước ngoài và nó học hỏi được nhiều hơn.
I remember my first time back to Vietnam when I was in 6th grade versus now, like it changed so much.
Khi mà bạn Kim là người Việt mà nói một cái câu đó đó, Kim hoàn toàn Kim không hiểu. Tại vì Kim không biết là bạn Kim đang nói cái đó theo đúng cái chữ mà họ nói, hay là họ còn imply cái gì nữa.
Like hidden meanings.
Yeah, because Vietnamese language, so many hidden meanings mixed with like the humor, and then sometimes you just like there's just so much confusion. You know?
Nhưng mà nếu mà Kim không hiểu là mình là bó tay.
I had a hard time to adapt, to be honest. I thought, well, you know, I speak the language and I know the culture, so it's gonna be fine, but it's actually not.
Em nghĩ là em giống như chị, like feeling in between vậy, như là nửa Việt với lại nửa cái country mình qua bên đó, không có belong to like any of the culture. Yeah. Like I feel like if I would have moved when I was earlier, I would become more Australian, or like I would connect more to my Australian identity. Versus like if I was moved older, like maybe when I was 18 as an international student, I would become a lot more Vietnamese.
One example is like một số cái người Việt Kiều thì biết rằng là đi qua bên Mỹ một thời gian mà nếu như sống ở những cái tiểu bang mà không có người Việt nhiều á, là they lose their language, they lose Vietnamese, and nhưng mà đó là một cái chuyện bình thường, nhưng mà người ở Việt Nam sẽ không hiểu được cái đó. Ủa, đẻ ra đây, sống ở đây bao lâu, tự nhiên đi qua bển chừng 10 năm cái về đây không nói được một chữ tiếng Việt, cái gì cũng phải chêm tiếng Anh vô, tiếng mắc ghét hả?
Exactly. Đúng rồi.
You know, ra vẽ hả?
So my parents, from when we were really young, they would send my brothers and I back to Vietnam every couple of years, and it was like their way of exposing us to the language. Because we had to speak Vietnamese with our relatives in our hometown. So that was how tiếng Việt của Philly được tiến bộ rất nhiều.
I don't know. I feel like Vietnamese are very open about telling their true opinion to you. Like, if you don't look good today, you don't look good.
Oh God, that's like our moms would say that. You even have to be at work.
So it's like the personal questions are coming in very quickly. So I'm still not used to that.
When you're traveling alone as a female, you know, like, because I take Grab like daily to go to work, to go to cafe, having to like, you know, answer these like very personable questions from like, you know, men or older men, and having to like readjust to that again because haven't happened to me for so long.
But either way, I think we've done so well for living here a few years.
Cheers!